Imagine you just got the job. $300 a week, your own trailer, 688 acres of quiet Ohio farmland. No boss breathing down your neck, no city noise, just open land and a fresh start. You pack your car, you say goodbye, you drive. You meet your new employer at a diner. He seems warm, generous even, laughs easily. Then he says, "Let me show you where I shot a deer last week." And you follow him into the woods. 3 men followed him into those woods. Only one came back out. And when police finally arrested the man responsible, he had already posted a new ad. You're listening to MirkCast, where darkness speaks. It's October 2011. Somewhere in Akron, Ohio, a man sits at a borrowed computer and types out an ad on Craigslist. Simply watch over a 688-acre patch of hilly farmland and feed a few cows. You get $300 a week in a nice 2-bedroom trailer. Someone older and single preferred, but we'll consider all. Relocation a must. You must have a clean record and be trustworthy. Nearest neighbor is a mile away. The place is secluded and beautiful. Job of a lifetime. Job of a lifetime. For men who had nothing left, that wasn't just a job posting. That was hope. And Richard Beasley knew exactly what hope looked like to a desperate man. He deliberately targeted desperate men, believing that nobody would miss them if they simply vanished. He was right. For a while. Here is what made Richard Beasley so dangerous. He didn't look like a killer. Silver-bearded, cowboy-booted, quick with a hearty laugh, and generous with a helping hand. He cast himself as a man of the people. He called himself a street preacher. He quoted scripture. He made people feel safe. The prosecutor on his case said, "No question, Beasley was a pathological liar. He could weave a specific tale on the fly. Very skilled, talented, intelligent. I've never encountered a criminal who orchestrated such a bizarre set of facts and circumstances." But behind the warmth was a man running from his own crimes. He had violated parole and needed to vanish. So he built a plan around making others vanish first. Together with his 16-year-old accomplice, Brogan Rafferty, Beasley hatched a plan to lure men with fake promises of work, advertised through Craigslist, and to kill them. A preacher, a teenager, and a farm that didn't exist. The perfect trap. Before we go any further, these were real men with real lives, real families, real reasons to believe things could get better. Remember their names. Ralph Geiger, 56 years old. He had once operated a successful construction business. By 2011, he was homeless, living in a shelter. When he told a friend he'd found work on a farm in southern Ohio, she was happy for him. After that day, she never heard from him again. Beasley didn't just take Ralph Geiger's life. He assumed his identity, used his name to open bank accounts, submit job applications. He erased the man completely. David Pauley, 51 years old. From Norfolk, Virginia, unemployed for 2 years, when he responded to the ad. He packed everything he owned into his pickup truck and drove to Ohio for his new life. His sister spoke to him twice during the drive. She never heard from him again. Timothy Kern, 47 years old. Divorced. Staying on friends' couches. Working part-time at a gas station. His ex-wife and son drove him to the job interview at a Waffle House off Interstate 77. Security footage captured him meeting the man. Days later, he called his son to say he got the job. That was the last time they ever spoke. 3 men, 3 fresh starts, 3 shallow graves in the Ohio woods. But then came the man Beasley couldn't finish. Scott Davis, 48 years old, a landscaper from South Carolina. All he wanted was to be closer to his mother. On November 6th, Davis arrived at a Noble County restaurant to meet his new employer, a man calling himself Jack. Accompanied by a teenager he introduced as his nephew. Everything seemed normal, warm even. They drove out together, through the back roads of rural Ohio, getting further from town, further from people, deeper into the trees. Beasley said he wanted to show Davis where he'd recently shot a deer. And that's when Davis felt it. That cold, quiet voice in the back of your mind that says, something is wrong. He didn't listen fast enough. Beasley pulled a gun and fired. The first shot misfired. The next 4 missed. One struck Davis in the elbow. Davis ran. Through pitch-black Ohio woodland, bleeding, alone. No phone signal, no road, no idea where he was. For hours, he ran. He finally arrived at a stranger's doorstep, pale and shaking, his elbow and pant leg soaked in blood. That knock on a stranger's door changed everything. The investigation moved fast once Davis talked. Agents traced the Craigslist ad back to a basement tenant, known only as Dutch, who was eventually identified as Richard Beasley. A search of the property uncovered prescription bottles under Ralph Geiger's name. The unidentified body already found in the woods was confirmed to be Geiger's. Bodies began surfacing. David Pauley, Timothy Kern, each one buried where Beasley had taken them. Not knowing that investigators had already closed in, Beasley left a phone number with an associate. Police tracked his location through cell tower signals and arrested him on November 16, 2011. And then came the detail that stopped the entire courtroom. At the time of his arrest, Beasley had already posted a new ad. He wasn't slowing down. He wasn't scared. He was still hunting. In court, prosecutors revealed that Beasley's own word for the men who responded to his ad was candidates. They were candidates for death. He was found guilty of 3 counts of aggravated murder and sentenced to death. His teenage accomplice Rafferty refused to turn on him and received life in prison. Ralph Geiger, David Pauley, Timothy Kern. 3 men who answered an ad for a better life. They weren't naive. They weren't reckless. They were just tired and hopeful. And a man who called himself a preacher decided that made them disposable. Scott Davis survived because for one split second, he trusted that quiet voice telling him to run. Most people never get that chance. The farm never existed, but the graves did. This has been MirkCast, where darkness speaks. New stories drop every week. Don't watch alone.